Okay, officially. Good morning. Welcome out to Market Watch Group Wednesday Market Midpoint, where we get to check in and see if our market posturing is playing out the way that we were expecting, to see if anything's changing, shifting, getting better, getting worse. What do we see going on? And we'll take a look here. Let's see. As always, I need to remind you, what we're doing is for illustrative and educational purposes only. Nothing we do or say is a recommendation to buy or sell. Any decision should be made at your own risk. We're not brokers. We're not advisors. Yada, yada, yada. Okay. What are we going to do? Look at today's opening analysis. Futures are up. PPI came back. In fact, we had a decrease in one section. So it was definitely better than expected. Definitely better than expected. Which is of course helpful. Okay. We will look at morning, David. Mindset for open trades. Looking good for open trades. Looking like the call out for a potential hedge may dissipate today. That's always good to see. Always good to see. Okay, what else? We will look at the opportunity list and see if there's more setups that are going to come our way and go from there. So let's get into it. Whoop, where was I? There we go. S&P futures are up 0.5%. NASDAQ futures up 0.5%. Russell futures up 0.25%. Dow is flat, interestingly. VIX is set to open down, back below the 15 mark, though it still could end up triggering. So we'll see if it's fully dissipated or not. That remains to be seen. Okay. What do we have? Oracle surging due to AI profits. PPI cooling. So here's what we got. 0.7 was the previous, which was where we had a bit of a surge. Actually, it was 0.9. It was 0.9, and that got adjusted down to 0.7. So that even relieves a little bit from the last report. So 0.9 got revised to 0.7. 0.7 was expected at 0.3. It came in at minus 0.1. Core was at 0.6, expected at 0.3, came in at 0.3. PPI year over year was at 3.1, came in at 2.6. PPI or core PPI year over year was at 2.7. That one came in a little bit higher, so kind of a mixed bag. But overall, closer to where we want to be than we were. So the market is responding favorably. Now, tomorrow we have CPI. So we're not quite out of the woods. There, we're expecting a tick up on the monthly numbers. 0.2 to 0.3 for consumer price index year over year, 2.7 to 2.9. Core is expected to come in at 3.3 and year over year 3.1. And then that's it for the week, right? We do have jobless claims. So we will take a look at that and see. But overall, pretty good. What does that do to the Fed? It's as it was. You might hear some people talking about a jumbo rate cut. Yeah, I don't think that's in the cards. Like, that's just this second, and that's how the market works. It's hopeful about the 0.25%, and as soon as the 0.25% seems more in place than hopeful, then it's like, well, then maybe we'll get a half. So, I don't know. 0.25% makes sense. 0.5% doesn't make sense. We'll see what happens. That is next Wednesday. Remember, next Wednesday. Let's go take a look at the futures and just kind of see how they're looking. Actually, let's start at Oracle. 320 now. That's even higher than it was yesterday. Yesterday it was like 312. We had to pull this down to here to get to 311. Now we're set to open here at 321 and a half. That is a hell of a jump. Definitely showing huge amounts of AI profits. Let's see if they give us the numbers. I don't know why it's only giving me the actual, but not the expectations. So what does that mean? Well, I would expect that we're going to see some more bumps in the markets that we're trading. Let's go take a look at the ES contracts. That looks pretty favorable right there. And if we go look at the VIX, with where the VIX is set to open, we're not out of the woods just yet. We're down to 14.66. I don't think it has to be 14.12, but I do want the body low. So if I put my mouse here where I'm touching this low, this low, this low, I would say that's around 14.25, give or take. Close, but not there yet. What does that mean? I'm pretty much a stickler, right? I'm kind of a stickler for when I have a hedge signal developing. I'm gonna be, even if it's with 0.1, 0.15, I am definitely going to be paying attention to that. It's pretty low. In fact, here's the deal is like, I will tell people, even if I don't get a hedge signal, if I'm carrying a number of trades and the VIX is at what appears to be one of these low points, is it still worth considering? Like back when it was here before it popped up. Or like it was here before it popped up. Or here before it popped up. Or here. It didn't do much on that one. But if you notice, when we have this low number with pinching on our stochastics, that pattern has a tendency to play out. So we want to be paying attention to that. Market's opening now. So, oh man, look at this Lumentum stock. Just still blasting higher. My goodness gracious. My goodness gracious. Apple, still setting up. And I'm still looking for it. Still in the process of setting up a higher low. It could fire tomorrow. It could fire Friday. This is still setting up for me. Archer Daniels, it's still kind of in this hiccup. But we wouldn't necessarily expect a stock with a little bit more defensive qualities to necessarily pop right away. Amazon, a bit overextended. APH has now hit the target. I would say that if you haven't taken some of that, would I would say that would warrant some profit taking. Not necessarily the whole position, but definitely a big chunk. I mean, that's the target we had forecasted. AXP still setting up. BAC. So BAC turned, but is pausing. So it's kind of like, do we wait? Yeah, I would say so. BTI still kind of grinding forward. Oh, look, Beyond is... No, I thought it was showing up. Never mind. City's moving. City is making a move. Caterpillar, nothing much there. CCJ still trying. CELH maybe still setting up. CLS still moving higher. Capital One is still in a setup mode, I would say. But I like AXP better. Coinbase, someone said, is that a breakout? It wasn't for me. It didn't have the volume. And it was still touching the old highs. But it does look like it's trying to move through that level now. Cisco is one that I was curious about. Looked like it was setting up. I would say that is kind of knocking at my door. As a potential viable trade today. Delta, no, nothing there yet. Dash. Pausing just a little bit. The Dow is holding up. EA pulling back, as is Expedia. Ford. Yeah, I would say Ford is still setting up. It had a little bit of almost a hiccup through here, but overall still above the 50. Still establishing a higher low. I'm still thinking about it. Futu. That's a tough one because it's a high momentum stock. GE starting to possibly. Now GE is a leader in the industrial space. Kind of slow, but made this move, kind of flagging, and now we're wondering, is it breaking the flag and giving us a stochastics that is turning and giving us a signal? Put it on the list as a potential. Gold still pushing higher. Google seems to be running out of steam. Tell me if I'm hitting on anyone that you're trading. Yeah. Let's keep looking. Goldman. Trying. Let's keep going. Hasbro. Setting up. Still setting up. Okay. Yes, to Google, Kevin says, right? I agree, David. ADM is still fine to me. A lot of these that are just sort of paused are fine. Okay, let's keep going. Robinhood. Robinhood made a nice move here, starting to run out of steam. If you're in it, I'd be thinking about starting to pare down some profits. Got out yesterday. Okay, that's fair. That is fair. Let's see. What else is on our list? Helmet. Trying. IBM is still pushing a little bit. So IBM, I know, I heard at least one person took this. It's valid when it had this high or low. Then it made this move, and now what? Now we're thinking, look, it popped back above the 50. Let's see if it comes back down and gives us something. Right? And gives us something. Okay. Intel. Maybe stabilizing. IWM. Holding up. Levi on my list. On my list. Definitely. Lumentum still going. Las Vegas Sands on a pause. On a pause. We got the signal. We got the turn. I still am. You can see this thing can wiggle around a little bit sometimes, so we want to make sure we're comfortable with that. Meta's pulling back today. I was a little uncertain with that one. Okay. What's next? Morgan. Trying. Microsoft, no. Micron and TSM have really pushed themselves to the top of the food chain by way of the chip stocks. Yeah. Chip stocks have definitely had a bit of a shift. MCHIP. Let's take a look at that one. Do I have the right symbol? Is that micro something? Huh. Microchip. I couldn't get that one to pull up. Netflix pulling back. MCHP. Let me get that. MCHP. There you go. Yeah, kind of sideways. Kind of sideways still. Okay. Yeah, I definitely see TSM and Micron as the two leaders. Although Nvidia's trying, we'll see that in a second. Let's look at Northrop Grumman. Still kind of in a setup position here. That's a possibility. There's Nvidia. Oh, Nvidia. We were looking at Nvidia, wondering yesterday, is that enough? And then boom. So it was at maybe a little bit below. A little bit below, but still, we were looking at it. We were thinking about it. Okay, let's keep going. PGY. No, PLTR. Okay, there's some movement again. We're seeing a bit of movement again. QQQ is up, but it's not holding on very well, right? So it's not preordained here. Dottie says I've got some Nvidia. Nice. That seems to be pushing a little bit. Okay, let's keep going. Reddit keeps on moving. So we have another day of movement in there. It took a minute for it to get moving, and then we got what we were looking for on that one. That one's looking pretty nice. Ready for some profit, but still have a bit to go. Okay. Anyone have a piece of Reddit still? Let me know. RF looks like it's trying to set up. We have a couple of financials. We have some consumer discretionary. We still have setups lined up. Definitely still looking for a second trade this week. Let's see what else we have. Rocket Lab. I don't think anyone still has Rocket Lab, but tell me if you do. El Jago's got some Reddit still. Love it. Love it. Okay. Silver up. SoFi up. How's the SPY is holding up quite well. Up 0.5%, but the QQQ has given back a chunk, only up 0.2%. And the Russell 0.14. So the SPY is doing the best today. Let's see what else we have. TME. Okay, that's a possibility there as well as it climbs. I looked at it yesterday, and I was still a little bit on the fence of it here. Okay, let's keep going. Tesla. Oh gosh, I see Tesla not moving, and then the next symbol down, I see this. Boom. The leaders of semi. So driven by Oracle, obviously. We're seeing that momentum reverberate across the semiconductor sector, reinvigorating some momentum into that area. Okay, let's keep looking. Uber on a little bit of a pullback. Visa, no. Again, for me, financially, I have a few that I'm looking at specifically. The VIX did not. You can see the VIX is sort of just in this same spot. It's not where it needs to be yet to convince us that we're finished with the current potential buildup in fear. Walmart starting to make a little bit of a pause. Okay, so let's review. City's looking fine today, but I would still be willing to put another one on. And I'm looking at AXP or possibly BAC. Okay. Let me see what else. So AXP, Apple, I would still say, but it's at least a day away. Not sure why Apple's getting beat while rest of tech is doing well. APH, you can see that it hit that target. Hopefully there was an order set, and it's starting to ease off of that already. AXP definitely setting up. BAC definitely setting up. Cisco setting up. If you like industrials, GE setting up. Ford is on the list for consumer discretionary. Levi on the list for consumer discretionary. We're in this one. This one's starting. We'll see if we catch that move. Yeah. Yeah. What are we missing? I think everything's looking pretty good. Questions, comments, concerns about any of the trades that we're seeing potentially setting up now, the trades that you're in now. Let me know. Core PPI. No, press. It's all out. Let me go back to that. Everything came back pretty favorably. So what happened was, for a review, PPI was revised down from 0.9 to 0.7 from the previous, expecting 0.3, and we got a minus 0.1. Minus 0.1. If you look at core PPI, we were expecting points. We were at 0.6, expecting 0.3. We got 0.3. Year over year, we went from 3.1 to 2.6. Core PPI, we went from 2.7 to 2.8. So that was the only part that looked a little bit worse. Yeah, it was a pretty favorable report. Most definitely. Okay. And that puts us in a pretty solid place, right? Puts us in a pretty solid place. Okay. Yeah. Remember that tomorrow, though, is CPI. CPI is expecting to pop up a little bit. And we can't just assume things are going to go well, but overall, the market definitely enjoyed that. Yeah. Okay, trading plans. Here's what I would say. As long as this thing doesn't reverse on us, I think there's a very good chance we get another alert today. I definitely saw some things that I liked. Developing and setting up, so I feel like there's something there for us that very likely to turn into a signal. Trading plans. Trading plans, you're working on section 2. Section 2, it's all about developing market forecast routines. Making sure that everything is in place for that. Your weekly routine should be your market posturing, and then translating that into exact execution parameters. How many trades? How much risk per trade? How tight are stops? How quickly do you take profits? Etc. Etc. Kevin says, will market run up ahead of Fed meeting, i.e. should we get out before? I mean, look, if we get a strong move all the way until that point, essentially the thought process is it's pricing that in, right? Which means that when we get there and when we get it, then we're a little bit thinking maybe it's buy the rumor, sell the news type of a situation. So, yeah, we definitely want to be aware of that. We definitely want to be aware of that. Okay. Anything else? It's a good morning. We've got trades working. We've got a couple of trades that are still in development, but are poised. They're fine. Nothing's going wrong. Markets are responding well, right? Responding well to the news that we have this morning. So I would say overall, this is about as good as we could have asked for, right? as good as we could ask for. It leads us to a more dovish Fed. A dovish Fed could lead us to a bullish end of the year. Best case scenario is where we're at. So all trades that are on are in places to take profits. Reddit close. APH hit target. Apple setting up. We've got plenty of things developing. So yeah, be on the lookout. That alert typically will come in the afternoon, sometime around the last hour if it comes. So keep your eye out for that. It's great to see everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day. Tomorrow, Glenn will open the market for us in the morning, and then we will have our back-to-back Q&A sessions in the evening. Looking forward to that. Good to see everybody. And as always, happy trading.
Recording stopped.